All right, everybody, a good evening too. I am forecaster Nick Dunn with a severe thunderstorm warning that has just been issued from the National Weather Service office in Cleveland. This is our first warning of the evening here, and we have a severe thunderstorm warning that has been issued now for portions of northwestern Wyandotte, southwestern Seneca, and portions of southern Hancock County until 5 o'clock this evening. The main concern here right now is for hail up to quarter size, 1 inch hail that is, and damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour. Now we are tracking a thunderstorm that has started to really gain our attention here in the vicinity of the Dunkirk area, northern portions of Hardin County, starting to lift northeastward towards Arlington and Cary over the next several minutes. We are going to have to keep a very close eye on this over the next few minutes and see where it develops. But you see, this is a little bit more isolated, a little bit more discreet. So I think we have a little bit better energy to work with this particular storm. Now the track brings this into Arlington at about 4:30, into Mount Blanchard at 4:34, into Van Loo at 4:42, and eventually into Tiffin just after the 5 o'clock hour if this cell holds together. It is also worth noting that I am tracking another thunderstorm with perhaps very similar type characteristics just to the northwest of Findlay, kind of moving off to the northeast as well. A track on that for you: Arcadia at 441, Bloomdale 441, Fostoria at 448, and then moving into Ballville by 511. If this particular cell were to become severe, well, that would be the track that it would be heading on over the next several minutes. So we'll watch that closer for you. Let's go over to velocity real quick. We're kind of in what I like to call a little bit of a dead zone for radar. We're not getting the best data on this, but I do want to mention that we do have a couple spots of interest here. Number one, the amount of lightning just on these two storms alone is relatively interesting to me. We have a couple spots where these cores are a little stronger. You can see the lightning flashes matching up pretty well. And even just over the last half hour or so, lightning has been relatively consistent across parts of west central Ohio and now moving into north central Ohio as well. Temperatures are in the 50s. Just enough, really, just barely enough energy, I guess you could say, for these storms to really get going and intensifying. We got a little warmer today than models had indicated, and so our severe risk, I think, is lessened, but it's not zero to this particular point in time. So that's a look at things across portions of Hancock County and then into portions of Seneca and Wyandotte County. This one is not tagged for tornado possible, but we will have to watch and see if this develops into anything else more substantial here over the next half hour or so. Elsewhere across the region, as we kind of take a look here to the south, we are not really seeing much in the way of activity. There's not much lightning except just to the south of Cincinnati. There is one thunderstorm that has a couple lightning strikes on it, but outside of that, just some general showers, and most of these are just bringing some strong winds, not necessarily damaging winds, but some strong wind gusts that may be upwards of 45 to 50, maybe even 55 miles per hour. I've been monitoring what the Weather Service has to say about these as well. We do have some reports in the Eaton area along 127. There were some unconfirmed social media reports of telephone poles and wires down, so we're kind of working to see if that has been confirmed. Also a 58 mile per hour wind gust about 15 minutes ago in Middletown. So what's really kind of my other point of emphasis here is that this broken line of convection from Piqua down through Dayton to Miamisburg down to near Forest Park, as that works through, you're going to get some strong gusty winds. 50 plus miles per hour are possible, and you may get some isolated reports of damage with that. You may not get a warning for it. We do have a wind advisory in effect for portions of central and western Ohio as well through 9 o'clock tonight for this particular reason, but we're just going to have to kind of watch and wait and see how things develop. Again, just a few reports so far. Nothing severe at this point in time when it comes to anything in particular, but we're just going to have to kind of watch and see how things go. We have another new severe thunderstorm right now that has just come in. This is going to be for portions of Wood County, Hancock County, and Seneca County until 5 o'clock this evening. This is that secondary thunderstorm that I had just talked about a little bit ago with you. So now Findlay and up to around Bowling Green, you guys are in this thunderstorm warning, and you guys need to be moving indoors and staying away from windows until this particular storm has passed. Again, this is going to be kind of before the Bowling Green and Findlay area. It's for this storm right over Macomb. It is moving off to the northeast relatively quickly at a good clip at about 40 miles per hour. I would not be surprised if it's moving a little bit faster than that, just based on a couple of the reports that we're seeing out there with overall wind speeds as these showers and thunderstorms are kind of moving through the region. So that's where we're currently staying. Let's get you an updated track on this cell here into Macomb. Again, lifting off to the northeast. I'm going to move it a little closer to 50 miles per hour. The core of the storm, again, the polygon's a little larger than the actual size of the storm, but it's coming into Macomb right now, should pass just to the north of downtown Findlay, coming in towards North Baltimore here in about 10 minutes, moving into Wayne in about 25 minutes, and then moving into Helena in about 36 minutes. And if it holds together, maybe up into Sandusky County, Woodville area, in about 38 to 40 minutes from now. So those are our two warnings that we have. Again, they are a little bit more discrete and isolated in nature, so they're carrying a little bit better of a severe potential versus what we're seeing downstream there towards Dayton and Cincinnati. That activity not nearly as discrete. So the environment downstream from this looks relatively favorable for these storms to kind of maintain their current intensities, if you will. I don't anticipate a ton of warnings, but we may have a few more through the rest of the evening as these showers and storms continue to progress off towards the north and to the northeast. It looks like Cleveland is going to maintain these warnings. There's also been a report now of some dime-sized hail around Van Buren, and that is going to be here across portions of Hancock County. So we are seeing some hail with this, and that's not surprising. Just something we'll have to just keep our eyes on. Again, you see these purple cores here around Macomb. That is where we're seeing some of those reports of hail. And there's Van Buren. So just to the west of Van Buren is where we're kind of getting some of these reports of hail coming in. This northern storm, I think, carries a better hail threat than the southern storm. But right now, this is crossing through Macomb to the north of US 224. There's downtown Findlay. Again, this should stay north of the downtown area itself, but gusty winds may still accompany the storm even away from the strongest part of this particular storm. So then down to the south, the cell coming into Arlington looks a little weaker than what it was a few minutes ago when the warning was first issued. We go back over to velocity. Again, we're just in a really rough spot data-wise. I will say, we'll have to watch this in between Macomb and Findlay here. That storm showing some increased lightning returns over the last several minutes. So we'll see if that storm's going to try to gain some additional energy and get a little stronger here over the next few minutes. But that's just kind of what we're watching. Elsewhere across the region, again, conditions relatively calm speaking for the most part. I am watching one other cell that is down here just to the south of Cincinnati that does have some lightning with it. You can see just a couple of strikes here, nothing major, but we were struggling earlier today to really get much of anything south of I-70 to really intensify and show any kind of signs of strengthening. We'll see if that trend's going to start to be reversed a little bit now. Checking in with dew points, we're still seeing relatively low dew points across central and southwest Ohio, upper 30s, low 40s, whereas to the north, these dew points are in the mid to even some spots upper 40s. So that's where the severe risk will be a little bit better today, where those dew points are a little higher. We have a new severe thunderstorm warning now for Clark, Clinton, Fayette, Greene, Madison, Montgomery, and Warren. This is a very large severe thunderstorm warning that has just now been issued by the National Weather Service in Wilmington. So we're going to stay live here with you for a little bit longer now. This is going to be for 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts coming through southeastern Montgomery County, southeastern Clark County, essentially all of Greene County, northern Clinton County, and most of Warren County. I'll put a track on this for you. We'll go look at terminal Doppler out of Dayton here as well to kind of give you another perspective. But again, we'll move this off here to the northeast at about 50 miles per hour. So we're talking Eden pretty much right about now, Morrow and Xenia in the next couple of minutes, moving into Wilberforce at about 440. We're watching that very closely as well. Springfield 442, Wilmington at about 449, and moving into South Charleston just before the 5 o'clock hour, and London just after 5 o'clock if this holds together. So let's go look at velocities here real quick. Again, nothing overly impressive from the Wilmington radar, but I do want to look at the terminal Doppler out of Dayton, and yet nothing impressive here. But looking at what the Weather Service is monitoring here, again, we're seeing some spotty wind gusts that are approaching severe criteria, and so that's why you're seeing these warnings issued just kind of out of an abundance of caution. Again, on radar, not much to really talk about here. These are more or less just very strong rain showers working across parts of the Miami Valley right now. Not seeing any lightning with these cells that are moving through. Again, we'll watch over the next half hour and see if that changes, but again, the primary concern right now, if you're near and south of 70 with anything that develops, is going to be more just gusty winds. I don't even see much of a threat with hail. We're not seeing I'm just reading something here from the Weather Service that there was a damaging wind gust potential seen at the Montgomery County Airport on the south side. They are not going to issue a high wind warning at this particular point in time either. But with the damaging wind potential here, they are going to, that's why they went ahead and issued this warning. So that's for southwestern Madison, southeastern Clark County, southeastern Montgomery County, northeastern Warren County, northern Clinton County, and most of Greene County here until 5:15 this evening. No tornado tag on this one. This is strictly just for wind at this point in time. Let's take you back to the north. We're working a couple of warnings up here still as well for portions of Wood, Hancock, Seneca, and Wyandotte counties. Forecaster Owen Fritz is just kind of point out that we're watching some mid-level type rotation across parts of Hancock County. Nothing impressive at this point in time. And a 62 mile per hour wind gust was just observed within the last couple of minutes down at the Wright Brothers Airport in southern Montgomery County. So that's why we had that warning that was just issued there for parts of the Miami Valley based on some of these reports that we're starting to see. So Weather Service continues the severe thunderstorm warning until 5 o'clock for Hancock, Seneca, and Wyandotte. That's the southern cell here for hail now that is less than penny size. Yeah, the hail threat is really diminished on this southern cell, particularly into Arlington along US 68 there. Not seeing anything in the way of any purples returns on radar. When we start to see the purples, that's where we start to get a little bit concerned about that hail risk. And right now we're not seeing that. We're seeing probably just some very strong to near damaging winds coming across parts of southern Hancock County. Again, we're kind of in a very poor spot for radar data. Up to the north around Van Buren and North Baltimore, we are seeing some purples here. Also just to the east of Macomb along Ohio Route 613. This is where we've had at least one report of dime-sized hail in the Van Buren area, but this is also likely we're seeing some of the strongest winds. And now that's kind of turning a little bit more to the north-northeast. So North Baltimore, Signet, and maybe as far north as Portage and downtown Bowling Green need to kind of be prepared for this over the next several minutes as this continues to work its way off towards the north-northeast there. Let's get you an updated track on this real quick. We'll take it off to the north here. I'll move it a little closer to 50 miles per hour to give you a few extra minutes heads up. North Baltimore, just a couple minutes left for you before this is over top of you, at least the core, that is. Moving into Signet at about 446, moving into Wayne at 458, Pemberville 506, and Woodville 512 if this cell holds together. Now, I don't see much in the way of other activity around this northern cell, so this has a little bit more energy to work with. It's not competing with other thunderstorms around it for energy. So this cell could maintain itself as it continues to lift into southern Wood County here now as we're starting to see around North Baltimore. You're starting to get some heavier rain. You may be getting some gusty winds as well, but the core of the storm, not quite to you just yet, so we'll watch that very closely. So zooming it out for you and kind of giving you a very quick full picture view for you here. We have 3 active warnings across the region right now. And those are as follows. We have a warning for Montgomery, Clark, Greene, Warren, Clinton, Fayette, and Madison counties until 5:15. More of a wind-driven risk there than anything else. Up to the north, we have a severe thunderstorm warning for portions of Wood, Hancock, and Seneca counties until 5 o'clock. That's pretty much for Findlay and points north to about Bowling Green. That one carrying a little bit better of a hail risk. Maybe up to nickel or quarter-size hail on that one. And then for southern Hancock County, southwestern Seneca, and northwestern Wyandotte until 5 o'clock, that appears to become more of just a wind-driven risk at this point in time. So that's our current warning situation as it stands. No other significant reports to pass along to you at this point in time. But I also do want to mention that there was a 51 mile per hour gust in Van Wert, and working our way south, kind of giving you a quick recap on some other wind reports that are starting to come in. Bell Fountain had a 51 mile per hour gust, 52 in Shelby County at the Sydney Airport, 51 in Dayton at the Dayton Cox Airport, and a 62 mile per hour gust near Middletown not too long ago. So Montgomery County has been removed out of the warning at this point in time. Let's take you back down here to radar, get a little bit closer look at this again. Nothing screaming, anything concerning here whatsoever. As you can see, the latest skin, the heaviest rain right now coming through downtown Xenia along US 35. That'll head up towards Cedarville and crossing Jamestown here shortly. We'll also move northeast up US 42 towards South Charleston in the next few minutes. Jeffersonville, not quite. I need to actually turn on some more roads here to get my bearings straight. Yeah, Jeffersonville, you're in the path of this as well there on Octa. But I do think the heaviest rain stays north of you. That doesn't mean that you're not going to get the gusty winds. But if you're down towards Wilmington and Port William, you're not going to get much in the way of very heavy rain, but what's happening is we have some evaporative cooling aloft, and so these showers are kind of working off of that, and that wind is being transported down to the surface as these showers are moving through. So don't be surprised if you just get some light rain, but the wind is the bigger story. We've been trying to drive that home today as kind of our main concern for you. And now a 65 mile per hour wind gust just coming in as of 4:23 at the Dayton Cox Airport. So what I think we may start to see happen here over the next several minutes, a couple things could happen here. Number one, we may see an increase in severe thunderstorm warnings due to some of these other reports that are starting to come in. And again, that was at 4:23. Dayton reporting a 65 mile per hour wind gust at the airport there. That particular part of the cell is right now kind of crossing through Miami County near Chip City and Troy, and eventually crossing into northwestern Clark County north of New Carlisle over the next several minutes. So we're going to have to kind of wait and see how things transpire, and how we'll have to kind of watch and see what ends up happening. So we're going to watch this pretty closely over the next several minutes for you. I do want to hang tight for just a few minutes. It looks like they have removed Seneca County out of the warning that was in effect originally for the northern cell that is kind of north of Findlay. So I'm also going to pull up our Skycam network, as I believe we're getting a little bit closer to our Bowling Green camera. So I do want to kind of take a look at that, see what we can see structurally over the next few minutes here. So let's see what we've got to work with here. Okay, yeah, so I'll try to pull this up shortly for you if I can, but kind of looking off in the distance, we can see the storm structure in the cell in the Bowling Green area. So we'll kind of wait and see where that goes at this point in time. So watching that over the next several minutes as well to see if that develops into anything. But again, downtown Bowling Green, if you're working south on I-75 here, this would be something to kind of watch if you're heading down towards Signetta and North Baltimore, even down in northern Hancock County. Still likely seeing some pretty strong winds with this. A good amount of lightning still being observed here as well. So then that tells us that the storm is still maintaining at least some form of intensity out there at this point in time. So let's kind of give you another full out picture. I want to take you back down to the south and point out a couple things. Again, the further south you have went today, usually this is not something that we say too often, but we had a little too much sunshine and the air got a little too warm today, and so that allowed for the moisture to kind of mix out in the atmosphere. So we don't have as much energy to work with the further south you go. But what is concerning, though, is that we're seeing these rain showers just producing some really strong to damaging wind gusts across the region. So just kind of be prepared for that as this continues to work on through this evening. Kind of hard to tell where things are going to go in the next 15, 20 minutes, but looking out the next 30 to 60 minutes, we'll have to kind of watch and see as this approaches the US 23 corridor here. We have a new severe thunderstorm right now for Madison, Clark, Champaign, Logan, and Union counties, and this is going to be for damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour. So we're seeing that increase in warnings that I had just kind of mentioned here over the last little bit. So we're going to keep a pretty close eye in the next few minutes. This is just for 60 mile per hour wind gusts now, and this is, again, mainly because we're seeing several reports coming in of some really strong to damaging wind gusts as these storms are passing through certain locations. I'm also kind of checking our station in Clark County to see what the peak wind gust has been here the last several minutes. Looks like close to 35 miles per hour, so nothing overly impressive, but in some locations you're going to get really strong gusts of wind, and in other locations you may not see that exact same thing. So we'll just watch and kind of continue to wait over the next few minutes. Just kind of be prepared as these storms are crossing US 68, and really the further south you go, these are just rain showers. So these rain showers are crossing US 68 right now, bringing strong gusts, even damaging winds at times, upwards of 50, 60 miles per hour. Few spots a little bit higher than that even. Let's go over to the terminal Doppler in Dayton and see if we can get a little bit better look at some of these winds. And yeah, we can a little bit. So the closer we are to the radar, we're skating a lot closer to the ground. So putting in some of these numbers here for you, we do see some pockets north of Springfield there, again, approaching that US 68 corridor, where those gusts are pretty close to 55 to 60 miles per hour. So that'll be heading through Urbana, Mechanicsburg, Springfield, over to Marysville and near Plain City here in just the next little bit. So that's a look at the wind speeds, and that warning again goes until 5:30. So from West Liberty down to about Eden and points off to the east there along and east of US 68 is where the primary risk will be for those strong to damaging winds over the next several minutes. Kind of checking in with the Weather Service once again. And again, this is likely being issued because of what we are starting to get some reports of from the Dayton airport of that gust of 65 miles per hour. So we kind of thought we might see some severe thunderstorm warnings, but when you go back and look at radar, it doesn't look that impressive in these locations. When we flip it back over to the how hard it's raining mode or the reflectivity mode, nothing really sticks out other than what we're watching here just to the south of Springfield along I-70. So this is approaching the US 68, and then on the State Route 72 exit there near Clark State University. There's some heavier returns on radar here. We'll watch and see if this presents any kind of wind damage as it's working through. Another cell right behind that coming through Fairborn, which just sits north of Beaver Creek. So those storms will kind of train across the same areas, but you may not be getting much in the way of any lightning with these as they continue to progress on through here over the next several minutes. The severe thunderstorm watch has also just been extended across parts of north central Ohio, so we should see that populate on the map shortly. The warning for southern Hancock, southwestern Seneca, and northwestern Wyandotte counties has been allowed to expire at this point in time. So that's kind of what we're watching there. So we'll see that watch issued here shortly. Kind of extended, if you will. And I'm not surprised to see that because these cells are getting a little further to the north here than maybe would have been anticipated. Let's go look at the cell coming into Bowling Green and Findlay from a little bit of a different radar perspective. And yeah, we're just kind of in a really poor spot for radar coverage as a whole. And velocity is not any better there. So we'll switch it back to Cleveland. You know, we're just not seeing much in the way of any significant type of activity. Some very heavy rain and gusty winds coming through Signet and North Baltimore. That's along I-75. And again, I'm also kind of watching our Bowling Green cam looking back to the south. Not seeing much at this particular point in time. We can also kind of get a little bit of a better look at that from our Toledo camera as well, kind of looking to the south. Not seeing any lightning just yet, but if we do, I'll try to pull that up for you live so that you can see that here at this point in time. So again, right now we're down to 3 severe thunderstorm warnings. Kind of recapping these for you. The southernmost warning is for southeastern Clark County, western portions of Madison County, not including London, western portions of Fayette County, west of Washington Courthouse, most of Greene County, northeastern Warren County, and northern Clinton County until 5:15. Would be for some wind gusts upwards of 60 miles per hour, and that will continue till again, as I said there, till 5:15. Off to the north, we have a severe thunderstorm warning for essentially all of Champaign County. This also includes southeastern Logan County, the eastern portions of Clark County, pretty much Springfield and north, and then also includes northwestern Madison County away from London, and then up towards Marysville, and that includes the Honda plant until 5:30. And again, a wind gust of 65 miles per hour was reported at the Dayton International Airport about 20 to 25 minutes ago. So these showers, they don't look impressive at all on radar. They look very weak. They don't look very intense, but they are carrying some strong winds because aloft, because of the fact that it got so warm today and some drier air kind of mixed in, as these showers are working down to the surface, you're going to be seeing some of those stronger winds reaching the surface. And so that's kind of why you see what we're seeing here on radar, and this is why we're getting the reports that we're getting. And so you may see these warnings continue to be issued here over the next hour or two. And I'm also still watching this rogue cell just to the east of Cincinnati. An interesting look to it there in northern Claremont County. That'll head up towards Blanchester, Lynchburg, and Newtonsville in the next 30 to 40 minutes. So don't be surprised if that carries a pretty strong wind gust with it as well. But it is out here by itself. It's not competing with anything else at this point in time. There is other shower activity out ahead of it, but this appears to be maintaining itself fairly well over the last several minutes. So I'll continue to keep my eyes on that as well. So for right now, folks, we're going to wrap up coverage here for a little while, kind of reset some things and look at some other things, and we'll come back live with you if conditions warrant. Again, just kind of keep in mind, have ways to receive warnings. We're seeing strong to near damaging wind gusts across the Miami Valley right now. That'll approach central Ohio here in the next several minutes. I would say into the Columbus area here by 5:30, 6 o'clock. Be prepared for some strong to near damaging wind gusts at times. Again, on radar right now, it does not look impressive. Do not let radar fool you. These showers are carrying some very strong winds. There's plenty of wind shear aloft, and that is being mixed down into the surface here. So we'll watch all this closely here for you over the next several minutes, and we'll come back live here in just a little while with some more updates. I'm forecaster Nick Dunn reporting.